This is Laura Vanderkam. I'm a mother of 5, an author, journalist, and speaker.
And this is Sarah Hart-Unger. I'm a mother of 3, a practicing physician, and blogger on the side. We are 2 working parents who love our careers and our families.
Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. Here we talk about how real women manage work, family, and time for fun. From figuring out childcare to mapping out long-term career goals, we want you to get the most out of life. Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. This is Laura. This is episode 264, airing in late August of 2022. This is our annual back-to-school extravaganza, and acknowledging that many of our listeners are not headed back to school exactly yet. I will say that this is going to be a little bit more of Sarah's energy than my energy as we are recording this in mid-August, because my kids don't go back until September 6th. But yours are already back, right, Sarah?
Yes, mine are back as of today. I know this is frustrating. It would be nice if everyone in the entire country was in sync and we could all experience the pleasure of buying fresh erasers.
We have international listeners too, so then that wouldn't
That
work
is true.
Yeah. Well, we'd never get one time when everyone goes. And some of it's, I mean, there's a number of districts that do the year-round sort of thing. They have sort of a shorter, truncated summer and do longer breaks in the middle of the year. So yeah, we'd never get everyone. It's okay.
That is true. Well, if you are already in the thick of things and have had your kids in school for 2 weeks when this airs, which is probably true for some people, or if you're preparing for a couple of weeks from now, hopefully this pertains to at least some of you. And hopefully I can get Laura's energy. She is literally recording this from a beach vacation, so I can see why we're in a little bit different places right now.
We're in the middle of a beach vacation and the kids don't start for 3 weeks. So it's just the back to school energy is kind of not there, but I'm going to channel it. I'm going to do it. We've been back to school a great many times. So I'm sure we'll have thoughts.
Exactly. Okay. So where are we right now? My children are going into pre-K, 3rd grade, and 5th grade. And as I've mentioned previously, my kids do go to a private Montessori school that has the kids in different classroom ages buckets that are combined per Montessori tradition. So none of my kids are actually changing classrooms, and only one of them is changing teachers because a much loved teacher has retired. So Genevieve will have to adjust to a new main teacher. But it actually is a big year of not a lot of change for us. We have really a lot of logistical advantages of one school, one drop off, one pickup. Basically, they allow you to drop everybody off at the same time if you have multiple kids, even though the starts are slightly staggered. And I feel really lucky because I'm thinking about the logistical challenges that I know Laura is likely going to be contending with. But I will say to some extent, this was by design. And, not all my kids necessarily need this different educational approach, but at least 1 or 2 of them seem to really, really benefit from it. And therefore, we kind of made the decision that the cost was worth making things incredibly easy for our family.
Yeah, totally makes sense because yes, one of the reasons I am not in the back to school mindset is I'm kind of pushing it forward, the logistical hassles that this is going to entail. We have 5 children in 4 different schools. So my oldest is going into 10th grade in high school. Then we have 2 children who are starting at our district's new middle school, which is kind of exciting, except for the fact that our district's new middle school appears to still be a construction site 3 weeks before the opening of school. Allegedly, the certificate of occupancy is coming through in the next week or 2. We'll see. But they are starting 7th and 5th grade there. This is a new thing for our district to make middle school 5, 6, 7, 8. It was part of getting rid of some overcrowding. And so, it's a kind of interesting study. How do you do that with the minimal amount of new building? And so they built 1 new middle school. They had 2 before. Now they will have 3, made middle school 5 through 8. And so that alleviates some of the elementary school crowding. But anyway, 1 child going into 2nd grade and 1 child starting preschool, which is very exciting for my little dude going to. It's also a Montessori school, though not terribly hardcore Montessori. We've experimented with some other Montessori schools in the past, and this is not nearly as people who've done Montessori know there's different versions of gradations of how into it you are. But anyway, it's great. That's where all our other kids have gone to. It's a neighborhood preschool. And so we're excited to be sending him there too. But yeah, 4 different schools, different times, different buses, like the kids will have activities. So there'll be, there's going to be a lot of driving. I'm just sort of making myself okay with that. One thing I have learned over the summer is sort of how to plan days, knowing that there's driving at the beginning and end, and how you can organize your workflow with that. And, I won't be the only one driving, hopefully. Obviously, we'll see how that goes too. But, it'll work one way or the other. There are buses as well.
And it might get easier after this year because maybe your oldest will be driving the year after. Yeah. So maybe this will be the peak.
So the curious part of this is Pennsylvania has these graduated licensing things. So I'm not sure that as a teenager, you can drive younger children. You can drive yourself. I would hope there'd be an exception for your own siblings. I haven't looked into it. I probably should. But one of the things they do in order to keep, teens from crashing cars with other teens in them is to sort of limit what teen drivers can do. But yes, if you are the eldest of 5 kids, it is nice if you would be able to drive. So we'll see. We'll see how that all winds up working out. But yeah, no, a lot of logistics. The new middle school is farther from our house than the old middle school. The bus is down at the bottom of our hill, which is fine for the older kids. I do not want Alex waiting there on a busy street for the bus. So he's going to need to get driven and picked up. Many logistics. We've been signing up for activities. The headache, I'm trying to push the headache forward and enjoy my summer energy.
I know you don't want to do it yet, but I think in that case, I would have to literally write it down to understand like what a play-by-play would look like because it does sound like it will be complicated.
I think it will be complicated. And yes, there will be a time when I get the bus schedules and all that I will actually sit down and do the logistics. But at the moment, just kind of putting it off.
Awesome. Well, this is also our first school year in the last 3, I guess, 2020, 2021, and now 2022. That's pretty much normal from an infectious disease standpoint. And I'm super excited about that. My kids were like, oh, drop off is going faster because they're not taking temperatures, which I had stopped noticing that they were taking temperatures, but they were taking temperatures even through camp, and now they're not. And, obviously people feel different ways about different things, but we are a family that is pretty happy to be just
normal.
We didn't have any masks and activities are back and school lunch is back. And yes, we've all had COVID a couple times.
So it's all good.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, I think we're fairly normal as well. They've stopped most of the mitigation things. We'll see on the preschool. I think because they just updated the guidance that people who have been exposed don't need to quarantine. And I think part of the preschool's guidance is that if you know your kid had been exposed, you were supposed to keep them home. And now that, of course, the CDC guidance has changed. So anyway, we'll see. But here, I'm fingers crossed, that it's going to be just a normal, great year. Kids get to go to school in person the whole time. But let's hope for that. So Sarah, why don't we talk about backpacks?
Yes, some of these logistical material type things. Well, actually, we don't have very much exciting news to report on the backpack front, except that I will say those classic LL Bean bags, not a podcast sponsor, but they really wear very well. So I bought one for each of my kids last year. We kind of go on an every 2 to 3 year cycle, I feel like, for buying book bags. And this year they looked great. So I didn't have to purchase one for anyone and I didn't get any complaining. So that was good.
Yeah. We have 2 LL Bean for the older 2 boys. And then the younger kids are more into the expression that comes from various cheaper backpacks. One like Ruth's is like a fuzzy blue one or something. And Alex's was camouflage or something. We may wind up doing either because they'll need new ones because, of course, those only last a year. But either the LL Bean for them, Ruth may be ready to graduate into the LL Bean variety. I think Pottery Barn is another one that does. I've seen good reviews on that. They tend to last. Good Housekeeping actually had a write-up And I was going to pull that up because I took a picture of it if I can find it.
We've had a number of Pottery Barn backpacks. I think the backpacks are great. I'm not a huge fan of the Pottery Barn lunch bags because they are not machine washable.
Yeah.
And my experience with any non-machine washable lunch bag is it's absolutely disgusting in about a week.
Yeah.
Maybe my kids are just really gross. I don't know. But yeah, but their backpacks are really cute and they do have a lot of different like patterns. And for younger kids, like very cute designs.
Yeah, Pottery Barn Kids, the Columbia, so, the outdoor company that makes fleeces and stuff, obviously they make backpacks too, but they don't just make pack backpacks. They make academic backpacks too. So those are recommended by Good Housekeeping as well and have good sturdy laptop sleeves. So if you've got high schoolers, for instance, increasingly middle schoolers and elementary schoolers too, that have the one-to-one device programs. And then finally, their last recommendation was the Land's End Classmate backpack, which is very lightweight and yet was still durable. So those are all the ones that were put through the Good Housekeeping test if you're in the market for a backpack. We'll see. I probably am. Henry is so excited. We have this old Lightning McQueen, tiny little backpack. You can't even fit like a book in there, but it's just so cute. And so we'll probably send him with that just so he can feel excited about having a backpack as well.
I love that my kids' backpacks are basically the exact same design as the ones that I used in the 90s. Like the fabrics, the prints have changed, but the like structure of it, like they kept the same. And it's probably because they know that the parents used those backpacks 30 years ago and are excited to buy them again, but I'm happy.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a quick ad break and then we'll be right back to talk about lunches. So we are here doing our back to school extravaganza. This is episode number 5 of Back to School. This was like our 5th anniversary too. I seem to recall that we launched this podcast when I was at this beach house 5 years ago in 2017. So we'll put in a little happy 5-year anniversary to us. We're celebrating with our back to school extravaganza. So your kids are buying lunch. This is exciting. This is a development.
Yeah, I don't think my kids have had a bought lunch since like ever. Duke Daycare. I don't even think we did it at the other school. Maybe I don't know. My memory is fading, but yeah, we have not done it in a long time. And then the school they go to stopped offering purchased lunch during COVID, so it wasn't even an option. But they got a new vendor, and the kids wanted to try it, so it was really lovely not having to pack any lunch boxes. Our nanny does help generally pack the lunch boxes during the week. But it's like I have to do Monday, obviously. So I could just assure you my children are eating whatever the hot lunch is every Monday for the whole year.
That's good.
The end.
It makes Monday easier. I got to say, we have a general policy in the family that if you are over age 8, you are responsible for your own lunch. Jasper and Sam purchase their lunches. Ruth packs hers many a day. She has some, we look at the lunch menu and order, well, during COVID times, we would pre-order for the days that she wanted it. We'll see what it winds up looking like this year. But then she packs her own and she gets into the little bento boxes and cool little, like she was scoring the sides of her cucumber to make them look a little bit more exciting. And then I pack Alex's, which is usually very modular because he only eats about 5 foods. So it's not very challenging to put that one together, but he will turn 8 this year. So he will need to learn to put that together himself. So very exciting. I want lunch to not be my problem.
I probably, if I didn't have the help, I would have been more proactive with that. Annabelle does enjoy making her lunch a lot of the time. The other 2, I feel like it's not worth the trouble yet, but Cameron is 8. So I don't know. He needs to get on it. Anyway, we've had the same containers, actually, that I just want to give a shout out called Lunchbots that I bought from Amazon like 9 million years ago. And they go through the dishwasher and they're shockingly like still pristine. And I think it's probably 4 or 5 years ago that we bought them with everyday use because my kids were not buying lunch. I guess during when they were home for those few months, they didn't get used, but otherwise they got used. And the only issue with them is that my bigger kids are starting to age out of the size of them because they're like more for younger kids. But I feel like it's easier when they're going to bring lunch to just like add extra items rather than to buy a bigger container. So
yeah, we bought a few of those, padded lunchboxes. I don't know. I wipe them down. I can't say that I throw them in the washing machine or anything. Maybe given that we only have 2 kids using them. But I don't know. Maybe my tolerance for grossness is incredibly high or something. That could be what it is. I don't know. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it. We wash out the bento box. It's like,
Right. No, I was talking about well, ours is kind of like a bento box, but it's like a metal container that goes in the neoprene lunch bag.
Oh, okay. Sense. Gotcha.
Yes. The metal container goes in the dishwasher. The neoprene lunch bag goes in the washing machine weekly because, I don't know. Again, maybe it could be low tolerance or it could just be very messy children.
One or the other. So tell me about school supplies. How did the school supply shopping go?
Yes. We did a pretty seamless day. We just went to Target and Annabelle. The only kid who had like a longish list was Annabelle, and the other 2 lists were so minimal. But I knew from last year, and they did it again, where they gave this minimal list, and then on like the day before school starting, they're like, actually, we want all this stuff. And since I remembered it, I just got a bunch of extra stuff. So Annabelle and Cameron picked out their own stuff. Genevieve picked out a few things. They didn't require that much. And then I filled in a couple of gaps via Amazon. It was very low key, I gotta say. So I had to make up for that by buying myself a lot of school supplies. Like a lot. I think I made 2 jet pens orders in the last 2 weeks. And I don't know. I think it's just the fall energy. And also I was watching some very enticing YouTube videos that Jet Pens puts out while I was on vacation. And I was like, oh, I want to try that. I want to try that. I want to try that. And I have best laid plans, which feels kind of like an enabler because if I get something cool, I can review it. And anyway, my favorite things that I got are a binder notebook by the brand Maruman. It's Japanese. It has like rings that look like spiral bound, but there's a little lever on the bottom. So they open up. So it's like a spiral notebook where you could like move the pages around. Just thought that was the coolest thing. And it's just very aesthetically pleasing. It sounds better than I'm describing it. And then I also got a set of these. I'm using one right now. Zebra Click Art felt tip pens, which are a unique product because generally felt tip pens are not clickable pens. They have caps that my children lose and throw everywhere. So this is pretty cool. And they're supposed to really not dry out for at least a year or so. And so, I'm enjoying it. My own back to school, completely unnecessary school supply shopping.
I think it's a requirement. I think if you're shopping for your kids and you see cool notebooks and pens, like you got to have it too. I mean, really, it's just, there's no other way to do it. I'm sure I will succumb as well. I'll be getting cool little notebooks from Target and pens because I need them. Definitely, I need them. Just like I need the 10 other unopened notebooks I have in my desk drawer that are just no longer as cool. I would throw out there, if people are looking for new calendars, planners, you should check out Best Laid Plans, Sarah's other podcast. Now is a good time of year to start ordering those things, just because if you haven't already, you're going to start in the next 3 weeks getting things that start happening in January to need to put on your calendar. And so when you are just sort of writing it, scribbling it in the back of your current calendar or whatever, your current planner, you might lose track of it. So probably in the next few weeks, it's the time to order whatever product you're getting for the next year. And Sarah has tons of reviews up.
Tons of suggestions. Yes. Or send me an email if you have specifics. Sometimes I will do a planner matchmaking.
That sounds good. So are your kids doing laptops then at school? Like, how does that work for you guys?
Yeah. So for technology, actually, this is the last year, I think, that none of them will have a school laptop or Chromebook or anything like that. Annabelle's homework is generally on the computer, and I think they do a lot of computer stuff at school, but not to the point where you have to bring a laptop or everyone has their own dedicated laptop. They use Google Classroom. They use a number of different apps. She is far better than me at PowerPoint. Seriously, she's very good. So she does a lot of things online, but she doesn't have a dedicated device. Cameron's class is a mix. I would say it's more half and half, maybe skewed more towards paper. And then Genevieve's early childhood classroom, there's no screens at all. So it's kind of gradated. And I'm sure next year when Annabelle goes to middle school, I think pretty much everything is electronic based.
Yeah, our kids, our district has a one-to-one device program now. And so Jasper had a laptop. They have either Chromebooks or iPads or something for the different ages. But yeah, all 4 of them, keep track of them, and sometimes better than others. We've had a few broken ones or lost chargers, but you're required to buy the insurance, so I guess that's why. So far, we've managed to deal with it. But it makes it easy if they do close for snow, for instance, they can just go virtual and everyone already has the device. So, however, it does make the backpacks kind of heavy, which can be kind of a problem if you're taking it back and forth every day. Are you getting Annabelle a phone, by the way?
Yeah, I'm trying to like figure out why she would really need a phone. The only activity that she does where she's kind of alone and gets picked up is her theater class. Everything else is so close by, or there's like a parent staying there. But for theater, she'll get dropped off. And for tennis, I'm hoping to coordinate some kind of drop-off situation. So I am leaning towards actually just getting her a Gab phone to start with, which is like, she actually, I think, wants the watch version. You can call, you can text, but it really doesn't do anything else fun. So it can't really be a distraction at school. I don't have like a specific age where I'm planning to get her one. It's more of a matter of need. But I guess I do want to put off the temptation of like, kids get to a certain point in like 7th and 8th grade where like you see them in a cluster and like no one's looking at anybody else anymore. I also don't want her to be like the only one without a phone and nobody looking at her. So, you got to straddle that boundary, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everyone has them and they use it to manage their friendship. So yes, you will in fact cut your children off from everyone else if you are that parent who refuses to. But we've decided age 11 is our family policy. So Ruth will turn 11 this fall, and so she will get hers. Jasper and Sam both got phones at 11, and as far as I can tell, seem to be managing it all right. I mean, yes, they spend a lot of time on it, but it's also helpful just for like, I do a reasonable amount of parenting by text. And so particularly with teenagers, that's how you do it. They're out in a situation, want mom's input, you give it to them, and it's a way to reach them.
The funny thing is we already do a lot. So that's the thing. Like she has a phone that has Wi-Fi and she has an iPad that can text and message and everything. So like, that's the funny distinction there is like, in some ways I feel like we're just already there.
Yeah. She just couldn't take iPad really with her to the mall in her pocket or something, right?
Correct. But yeah, I do text her actually. We've started doing very brief stints of her being home alone and stuff. And it's helpful for her to be able to be texted.
Well, that is honestly, so it's partly because Jasper and Sam both have phones that I can leave them and in fact can leave them with the other kids. And I was thinking, well, I do not believe that Ruth is less really mature than them. Even if she is younger, I think her babysitting instincts are strong. And so it's like once she has the phone, I think I will feel even more comfortable with leaving her home alone or leaving her with, Alex for 45 minutes or something if I know she can reach me. And she has an iPad too. And so the problem is it just doesn't, I have to figure out how to have it show up on my phone because it's me, right? It's my number. So it doesn't look right.
Annabelle has her Gmail linked to iCloud. Okay. So when she texts me, it just comes from AnnabelleUnger@gmail.com. But it works just like it's a phone.
Flag on my phone because it looks like it's just my number, I guess. And so I don't see it unless I'm like scrolling through it. I'm like, oh, wait, there's a new message down here. So anyway, long story, but people need to hear about my technology problems. Yes. But yes, she will be getting a phone this fall. And, we'll be in a lot of activities too, I'm sure. So it was helpful for picking up. What are you guys doing in terms of activities?
Oh my gosh, I'm so relieved of what we're not doing. So Annabelle wanted to do this dance class and it was at 7 p.m. And I was like, oh my God, really? Like, okay, fine, whatever. And we prepped to do it. And then she went to a trial and she was like, never mind. And I was like, praise the Lord. I feel like I got out of jail free. I'm so happy.
Awesome. I mean, I'm sorry for the ballet studio that they offered the trial class and so then don't get the tuition because you guys are out. But good for you guys that you tried it and now no.
Yes.
You don't need to do it.
I was thrilled. So we're doing, everything's pretty logistically easy. All 3 kids, Cameron has decided he wants to try gymnastics again. So that'll be cool. They're all going to do it at the same exact time on Saturdays. So like low key, not intense gymnastics like you think of with like kids doing many, many hours a week or anything. 1 class a week, all 3 kids. Annabelle's doing theater once a week. Cameron and Annabelle do tennis at the same time once a week. Annabelle is continuing horseback riding. And then Cameron, I think, is going to do soccer through our like community league. I think that's actually going to be the most pain in the butt involved thing of everything, but he really wants to do it. So whatever. And then I think we're going to do piano in a very low key way and have somebody come to the house and do some restarting with the big kids and starting with Genevieve. We got all messed up. The kids were doing piano in Miami Beach and then we did it here and then COVID. And it's really amazing that it's taken like 2 years to bring some things back, but it has.
Yeah. our activity schedule is going to be somewhat intense. Partly it's just that, Alex, for instance, likes lots of different activities. And in general, it's good for him to be out doing activities versus sitting at home getting into trouble or, being on screens constantly. It's something that's a way for him to be out doing stuff. So he's actually, I know we just signed him up for swim lessons. He's doing a flag football league. He's doing rock climbing. He's doing parkour. He's doing this ninja class with Ruth. And that's if he keeps going with karate too. That's another one. We'll see, because he probably should start doing it more often. And I don't know if that'll happen with all the other stuff. But yeah, we just registered for YMCA swim classes this morning. Apparently it opened at 6 a.m. and Michael and I were up at like 6:30 with the toddler here on vacation, as you are. So got to sign up with the classes not full. Humorously, my husband was pretty excited about trying to find swim classes on Sunday morning conveniently at church time.
I thought you were going to say, like, while he could work out. And you're like, no, church. That's funny.
So we're working on that. I guess I don't really care. That's fine. As long as I get to go and sing, I will drag some of the other people with me, or they can babysit for Henry if we decide that he doesn't need to go too. But yeah, he's the one with the most intense activity schedule. The older kids do music lessons. I said, the older ones, they all have to do something musical, something physical. So Sam's doing alto sax and fencing. Jasper's doing tennis and his honors choir at school. Ruth does trumpet and is doing the ninja class. We'll see what else she winds up doing. We're kind of leaving her schedule a little open because I think she's really going to want to get involved in some of the middle school activities. And so if you pack it all full before that, then you don't have the space to try out for the school musical or whatever it is that she's going to want to do. So we're kind of leaving her open and seeing what she wants to do. But yeah, it's just going to be a lot of stuff. I probably need to get on hiring another driver. That's what it will wind up coming to. But,
because everyone needs to be in a different place.
It's better to have kids doing stuff than not doing stuff, in my mind.
I totally agree, especially if they want to do them. Yeah. If it's a matter of dragging them, I've been in that position before, and I hate it. I hate that as a parent. Like, come on, I signed you up for this. You wanted to do it, and you get in that fight. But if they actually want to do it, which I think pretty much everything my kids are doing now, they're excited about and will remain at least excited enough about throughout, that I think it's worth it.
So it's just a matter of, as you and I know, like, we're trying to organize our schedules to get our work done in the time that is, even if you do have driving help, you wind up doing a reasonable number of stuff. And so I've just sort of said, I try to do the bulk of my work between, it's 8:30 and 3. The elementary school kids will leave at about 8:30. Jasper comes home at 3, but often he won't because he'll have activities too. And so, it's like 8:30 to 3:30. And if I consider that my core work hours and I'm like focused on getting my work done, that's 7 hours per workday. And it won't be perfect, but like, I think I can get 30 to 35 hours during normal working hours. And then, as we do, we have 5 hours in the evening and on weekends or whatever, and hit my 35 to 40. At least that's the goal. So we'll see how it goes.
I think you'll be able to do it.
I think so. All right. So what else do we have on our back to school?
Just that first morning. Again, our logistics are not that challenging, but I do feel like it kind of helped, especially with my bigger kids who have been sleeping in and kind of like not having any kind of routine in the morning and haven't gone to camp or done anything for a few weeks. Plus, we just got back from vacation. So I wrote out a schedule. I posted it on the fridge. I reviewed it in detail, and they seemed to be like, oh, okay. Like, I think they actually needed that to remember, like, this is when we have to be eating breakfast. This is when you have to get dressed or whatever. We even had donuts that fortuitously, like, somebody gave my husband a box of donuts, someone at work. I don't know. Normally I would have been like, no, but I was like, oh, first day of school, donuts. That will be popular.
Highly motivational.
And so I got to say, this was like a smooth back to school. Tomorrow's going to be harder because that thing with back to school that happens is that like you think it's one day, like, oh, we did it now. And then you're like, oh, no,
we got to do it 180 more times.
Exactly. and the novelty wears off and everyone gets tired. But today was awesome.
Well, that's good. So congrats to Sarah on getting everyone out the door this morning. You can all wish me luck for 3 weeks from when we're recording this. It'll only be like 2 weeks from when it airs. But yeah, it'll be something. We'll report back on how it goes. And congrats to everyone who has successfully launched their kids on new school years, and best wishes to everyone who will be doing so over the next few weeks as well. So our question this week comes from a listener who is taking her first trip without children since becoming parents. Oh my goodness. Her kids are young, but she said the only night she's been away from her oldest was 2 nights in the hospital when she was having her youngest. So not exactly a getaway. They are leaving the kids with their parents for 4 nights while they go out of the country. Do you have any advice for your first trip away from the kids? We didn't intend to wait 4 years to go away, but the pandemic put any travel plans on pause. We wanted to wait until our youngest was a manageable age for her older parents. She says her older parents raised tons of kids, so she's not actually worried about their being able to handle the children, and it's exciting that they can bond, but she wants to know any tips on managing being away. So Sarah, first couple trip.
I think, yeah, your setup sounds wonderful. Your parents are super experienced, and I do think sometimes you can feel guilty about having your kids stay. Well, you shouldn't, but I sometimes feel guilty about having my kids stay with a hired caregiver, but I never feel guilty about grandparent time. Like hey, it's a gift to the kids as well. So try to remember that this is a wonderful way for your parents to get to know your kids and vice versa. I would definitely try not to micromanage. I think that's the one thing I've seen people try to do that can go awry and lead to battles that are probably not necessary, like strict boundaries around food. I mean, unless it's something that's going to truly make a kid sick, letting your parents use their judgment or strict nap schedules. I mean, they're the ones who are going to have to deal with the consequences while they're with the kids. And yes, the kids may be a little keyed up when they get back to you. That's definitely been our experience. But I mean, that's to me kind of like the price you pay, and it's worth it. But at the same time, without dictating and or judging, you could put in writing hey, this is what they usually do. You totally don't have to, but if you want to have an understanding of what their schedule is, if that makes things easier for you, or this is what they usually have for meals, I think that helps. And I do think, especially with older adults, writing things down is always good because, that way it's there, it's in writing, it can be referred to at any time. You don't have to rely on memory or anything like that. And I think if I were a caregiver and taking someone's kids, even now, I would love to have a little cheat sheet document of what they normally do.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Just broad, generally guidelines and what their schedule tends to be. But, it sounds like the older child is, capable at least of talking as well to, share sort of how things happen and, likes and dislikes with the grandparents. And then, for our listener, I think she should just relax and enjoy it. Try not to check in too frequently. The whole point is that you want to get away for a little bit because it may be another year. I mean, let's hope not, but it could be a while before you go away again. Those 4 days are going to fly by. So don't spend much of them obsessing over how things are going at home. Just try to do some stuff that you and your husband would find more challenging with children around. So, eating at restaurants with no kids menus, do something like when Sarah and I had our little retreat together that we were told there was an hour wait and we're like, we'll take it. We'll sit at the bar.
Great. We are unencumbered.
We are unencumbered. We don't have to drag out the crayons and the, paper for our kids to entertain themselves for an hour. So I think you should do that. Try to sleep in, do, even it's fine to have an anchor event or two, but sometimes it's nice just to do what you feel like in the moment without having to worry too much about, you're not packing diaper bags, you're not doing anything else. It's okay if it takes a little longer. So, if there's things you truly want to do together, a special dinner somewhere, visiting something that you're seeing, that's great. But you can also just enjoy time as it comes and enjoy each other and being a little bit spontaneous in a way that's slightly harder with small children.
And I do tend to promise my kids a gift when I get home. And if they're a little upset about me leaving, as silly as it is, usually that helps.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you a present. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Now, my husband brings back those Kinder Surprise eggs from Europe every single time. It's whatever their exciting thing about it. Yeah. So, all right. Love of the week, Sarah. What's your love of the week?
I'm going to give a shout out to the JetPen school supply videos. Everyone should watch them. They are calming and pleasing and full of enticing trinkets from overseas.
Sounds good. I'm going to say I actually like starting school after Labor Day because there's something just kind of fun about still being on summer break in September. I think a number of years we've been on vacation into September, and it's like the crowds tend to be disappearing by that point. You know, it's like, wow, summer, and it's already feeling like some of these places are tilting toward fall. I remember a couple of years ago, we were in Colorado and September 1st and 2nd because they weren't starting until a couple of days later. And it just always, there's already like a little bite of fall in the mountain air. And it's like, but we're still in summer. I love the concept of lingering a little longer in these things. And so here's to a long summer, even though we started later too. So I guess it all comes out in the wash, but it's fun to have it in September still. All right, well, this has been Best of Both Worlds, our back to school spectacular. We will be back next week with more on making work and life fit together.
Thanks for listening. You can find me, Sarah, at theshoebox.com or at @the_shoebox on Instagram.
And you can find me, Laura, at lauravanderkam.com. This has been the Best of Both Worlds podcast. Please join us next time for more on making work and life work together.